invite us to learn how to talk with one another, to learn how to work together, and especially to not be afraid of one another. There is not one immigrant in this world of which we need to be afraid if the Spirit of God is moving. There is not one movement in this world of which we need to fear by way of its military power or its torture or its terrorism if the Spirit of God is moving. There is not one transgender person who walks into a bathroom that someone needs to be afraid of if the Spirit of God is moving. The Spirit of God has a way of having us hear the howls of the big bad wolves around us and laughing at us. We do not need to be afraid, but we do need to organize, and we do need to communicate, and we do need to find our way to work together, to love together, to be together in community. We need especially the most fundamental aspect of this is that we need God to move. Too often we human beings in our broken conditions try to get together and solve a problem. Too often we forget that without the movement of God's Spirit, without God's timing, without God's power, without God's acts, or without God's love, we are simply not able to overcome those things that divide us. So on this Pentecost Sunday, open your heart, open your arms, open your lives, and receive the Spirit of God. It looks like a bridge and not a wall. It speaks in languages that we can understand and not fear. It looks nothing like a big bad wolf. It looks a lot more like a dove of peace. And look to that peace to fulfill the prayer that Jesus prayed, that we would all be one. After the disciples, after Peter had explained to the crowd that the disciples weren't drunk with what they were doing, that it was only 9 o'clock in the morning and they were fulfilling a prophecy from Joel, Peter quoted the prophecy that in the latter days, God's Spirit will be poured out on all flesh. It's not an ambiguous concept. It's not talking about only Christians or only Muslims or only Jews. It's not talking about only women or only men or only the young or only the old. It's talking about all flesh being touched by the Spirit of God. If we look to God's Spirit, if we listen, if we learn, if we communicate, we will find that God is moving heaven and earth to make us one, to unify us, to break down the walls of division, and to help us celebrate as one flesh, one people, that God loves this incredible world. Thanks be to God. spirit of unity. May we continue to work together to have the unity that Jesus and God had. May God bless us and keep us. May God's face and grace shine upon each and every one of us. May God's Spirit bring us unity and peace. Amen.